Everything else is child's play.
I think what really attracted me to stop motion was the tangible access to mechanical physics. You're taking these completely inanimate objects and you're bringing them to life. You're engaging with the physics of the object in a way that really, you can't get that access in 2D animation or in CG. My name is Dylan Markey. I'm an animator, and what I've done is I've created a Bluetooth power glove, which is a tool that I use to connect to the computer and control Dragon stop motion software, which is what we use to shoot stop motion. A few years ago, I was animating a shot on a much larger stage, and I needed to move from one side of the stage to the other side of the stage, and then back to animate the camera. And I remember thinking, like, carrying this USB attached numeric keypad all around the stage with me. And I was like, why don't I just have this on my arm? Why can't I just, and you know, for me, when I thought like, oh, I want something on my arm, like what would I want to animate with all day? And you know, this device, this aesthetic was the one that I wanted. I had to have a power glove on my arm. Other than the fact that the power glove just looks awesome, it's a quintessential part of my childhood. I can't imagine my childhood without the power glove. It was the coolest, man. It was like the first time you saw something where your body was going to have you interact with video games. And the way they presented it too was just absolutely incredible. They premiered it in this movie called The Wizard with Fred Savage. These three kids ran away from home to take their autistic little brother to the World Gaming Championships in California. And they got there, and there was this kid, Lucas, who had a power glove. It was the coolest scene. Lucas comes out, and he was like, I love the power glove. It's so bad. And you're just like, I love the power glove too, oh my God. It was awesome. I didn't have any experience with it at all. I never did any electronics or anything like that. I was asking around a whole lot. A couple of my friends who did have experience with DIY electronics kind of stuff, they were sort of pushing me in the right directions and pointing me around. In the end, I ended up just mentioning it to one of the people who works in the studio. And she was like, oh yeah, my husband's an electrical engineer. I was like, whoa, we gotta talk. And so I got in touch with him when he was like, oh yeah, you should just like make a circuit board or something. So we started doing some measurements. I went online and got all the other stuff that I needed. I had the power glove. I gotta just take it apart. In like a couple of days, we had this circuit board, and then got it, wired it up, and it worked. But I put step forward and backward on the arrow pad because I wanted to be able to click back and forth through my frames like this. I put play as the center button right here. B is capture 2 frames, and A is capture 1 frame. Those are 2 of the most important controls that I ever use. It's mostly these 2, and then this, and then these 2. But the whole number pad is really useful to have because there's all kinds of things you can program in Dragon to be a keypad press. Anyway, so that's the Bluetooth keyboard, all right here. And then I've got this right here, which is my tweezers, and I put them on a retractable cord. And there's a magnet right here so that when I am reaching out to switch my mouth shapes or move my eyebrows around, I can then let go of them and they'll go right back to where I need them to be. And then the piece de resistance to the whole thing, I hit a little speaker in there so that when I fist bump it, it says, that way, when the director comes in and he says, oh, how's your shot? Okay, oh, that looks great, that's great. And then we fist bump and... When you get into the animation, when you get into a shot, you really lose the world around you. Everybody calls it in the zone when you're animating. All these stages are just blocked off by black curtains, and when your shot gets launched, as they call it, they close the curtains, and it's just you and the puppets until the shot's done. In order to be a more successful animator, you need to be a little bit of a glutton for punishment, really. You gotta be willing to stand up all day, bent over a table, reaching sometimes 4 feet forward, and holding those positions for 10 hours a day. It is a physically laborious job. Sometimes it can take up to like 10 or 15 minutes to take a single frame. You have to follow your thought from one frame to the next. You touch this puppet, then you have to go back and you check where that puppet was and where it's going, and then you go to another puppet, and you have to get into the thought process for that puppet. You're not doing one character and then doing another character. You're doing all characters all at the same time. The first thing I animated with the Power Glove was actually really special. It was for a show called Friendship All-Stars of Friendship. The episode that I was animating was Shigeru Miyamoto and Bill Gates hanging out in a jacuzzi. Shigeru Miyamoto is the CEO of Nintendo. He's the designer of Super Mario Brothers, and I thought it was really, really appropriate that I would be animating that sequence as the first thing to animate with the Power Glove. It was about 3 years since I first had the idea, and I've been animating with it for a good year and a half.
Yeah! Woohoo! Windows 90 high five!
I think in general, people have all but forgotten about it. Half the time people see me wearing it and they're like, what is that? Oh, and if, you know, if they're under 25 or whatever, they're like, what the hell is that thing? Cool, that was a thing? Cool, okay. It's just one of these things that's just completely in the ether, like it barely exists anymore, you know? It's like, I see this and it's like the coolest thing in the world. It's like a cyborg arm, it rules. And people barely know what it is. I think it was just a really cool idea, but it was a little bit ahead of its time. To be completely honest, it seems like some people have made fun of me and said like, oh, that looks like the most useless thing in the world. But they're wrong. They're wrong.